Everybody does. How many steps have you walked so far today?
Well, but I'm going to get started here on the Course in Miracles. Let's see what we got. Well, wow. I am just freaked out at the amount of people here today. It's awesome. Welcome to the Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy. I want to welcome everybody on Facebook Live. And if you're here if you're checking it out, if you're checking it out for the first time, the only guidelines to the Course in Miracles is that you need not believe the ideas, you don't need to accept the ideas, you don't need to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you're going to find hard to believe, and some of the ideas you're going to find quite startling. We don't spend a lot of time analyzing and judging the ideas at all. It's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to us and will show us that the ideas are true. So today, we're going to be on page 114, chapter 7, the gifts of the kingdom.
Did you say 114?
Yeah, 114. It's called the law of the kingdom, which is the law of love. On page 114, chapter 7 in the text, in the Course in Miracles, in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. If you got any other version other than the Foundation for Inner Peace version, it might be on another page. But it's in chapter 7, the law of the kingdom. Okay, those of you online, thank you for tuning in. We are going to start off with the very first paragraph. And it says, to heal is the only kind of thinking that resembles the thought of God. And because of the elements they share, can easily transfer to it. When a brother perceives himself as sick, the brother is perceiving himself as not whole, and therefore in need. If you two see them this way, you are seeing them as if they were absent from the kingdom or separated from it, thus making the kingdom itself obscure to both of you. Sickness and separation are not of God, but the kingdom is, the love is. If you obscure the kingdom, the love, you are perceiving what is not of God. Okay, so what I like to do, I always do all the time, those of you online as well as in person, read through it, go back through it and see what the message is that the Course in Miracles is attempting to give us on page 114, chapter 7, page 114, the law of the kingdom in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. It's not in your version. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So basically, the first sentence says, to heal is the only kind of thinking in this world that resembles the thought of God. So basically, the Course in Miracles is saying that if you want to know what a God thought is like, if you want to know what a true thought of love is like, then whenever you're thinking about healing, whenever you're thinking about letting go of, which the Course defines as undoing fear, then that's the only kind of thinking that really resembles a thought of God, which is a thought of love, whenever we have the thought that we want to heal. So whenever I say I want to heal or be a part of healing, that's the only kind of thinking that resembles the thought of God. If we say we want to have a healing in this world or healing in our relationships, That's the only time the Course says we're having a thought that's similar to a true thought of God and a true thought of love. So because of the elements they share can easily transfer to it. So the thought of healing can easily transfer to the thought of God and the thought of love. So healing and love, according to the Course, are the same thing. So to heal is what? The only kind of thinking in the world that resembles the thought of God. And when you're the kind of person and all you're thinking about is being a part of the healing, then that kind of thought can lead you into the thought of God or the thought of love. Now, in the next sentence, the Course in Miracles describes what's going on when a person perceives themselves as sick, which I think is really interesting. When a person perceives themselves as sick, according to the Course, that just means that person is perceiving themselves as not whole. In other words, if a person is perceiving themselves as sick, then they're perceiving themselves as in need. So sickness is another term for being in need. Now, the Course in Miracles is going to say a lot of stuff that's going to bring up yes buts. Okay, let's just get that clear, all right? It's going to do it because it is taking a completely different approach to what we are accustomed to. That's why in the beginning of it, it says you need not believe it, you need not accept it, you need not welcome it, because it knows that if you think you got to believe what it's saying as soon as you hear it, you're not going to get past 3 sentences. So that's why I always tell people I don't spend an hour analyzing the Course, because it's not about trying to fit the Course in Miracles into the way that you've already learned to think. It's really about temporarily being willing to suspend the way that you think and just allow yourself to hear another way to look at it, whether you agree with it or not. And that's the key to learning the Course. The key to learning the Course is letting yourself hear what it's saying before your ego tries to tear it all apart. Our ego is going to immediately try to tear the Course apart, break it down, see where it disagrees, try to fit it into your thought system. But the Course is saying, no, let me give you another perception. If a person sees themselves as sick, they're seeing themselves in that moment as not whole. Doesn't mean that the person is not whole. What it means is the person is perceiving they're perceiving themselves as not whole. They're perceiving themselves as lacking in some way. Even if you could say the thing that's lacking in that moment is their health. It's still, whenever someone's sick, there's some type, and then the Course in Miracles defines sickness as any form of lack of peace. So when the Course says sickness, it's not talking about just a physical illness. It's talking about any form of lack of peace. So, he calls sickness non-right-mindedness, and I think that's a very important distinguishment, because when people hear sick, they immediately think a cold. Do I have some kind of physical disease? And the Course says, no, you're sick if you're full of fear, anger, guilt, and grievances. You're sick if you think you're separate from everybody around you and everybody around you is separate from you. The Course in Miracles is saying to us that whenever a person sees themselves as sick, they're seeing themselves as not loving, and they're also seeing themselves as in need. So now when I have a physical sickness, or what appears to be a physical sickness, what I try to do is use the Course in Miracles definition of sickness. So I would say to myself, even if I did have a physical ailment, I would say, okay, I got a backache. I'm seeing myself as not whole. I'm seeing myself as in need in some way. I want to learn how to give the new meanings that the Course is using to these terms. So let's say a person is sick, all right? So you say, oh, that person is seeing themselves as not whole. That person is seeing themselves as in need. Then the next sentence says what? If you too see them this way, what way? If I too see you as sick, if I too see you as not whole, if I too see you as in need, then the Course says, then you're seeing them as if they're absent from love, as if they're absent from the kingdom, as if they're absent from God, as if they're absent from health. I'm using all these definitions that the Course gives for kingdom, because the Course in Miracles is only talking about love or fear. And I'm going to keep saying that over and over and over again. The whole book is about how can I remove the blocks to love and the blocks to love that's fear, and all of that's coming from my perception. So the purpose of the Course in Miracles is to give me the correct perception so I can let go of my fear. When I let go of my fear, I will know the love, I will know God, I will know the truth, which is the same thing. So the Course is saying to us, hey, God, the way that you're thinking and the way that you're perceiving, your fear is what's blocking your knowledge of God and love. And so what I want you to understand is when a person is sick, they're seeing themselves as not loved, they're seeing themselves as not whole, and they're seeing themselves at some level as being in need, whether they realize it or not. And if you look at them the same way, if you see them as sick, if you see them as not whole, if you see them as in need, then you're seeing them as if they're absent from the kingdom, as if they're absent from God, as if they are absent from love, or as if they're absent from their true selves and their true power. So you can see yourself as sick, you can experience yourself as in need, but my job as your Savior, your healer, is to not see you the way you are seeing you. So you're seeing yourself as in need. That's what your perceived sickness is. I must not see you as not whole. I must not see you as in need. I must see you as you're whole and that you are complete and that there's nothing missing in you. Or I would be seeing you as if you're absent from health, absent from love, absent from the kingdom. I would invite you, after having worked with this for over 40 years, don't let your ego, try not to let your ego make this complicated, because it really isn't complicated. You're sick, you think you're in need. I don't see you that way. Boom, end of story. That's all it just said to us. When you are wanting to heal, you are thinking like God thinks. That is not a complicated statement. If I'm wanting to heal and I want you to heal and I want you to be whole, then that is the way God thinks. So that's a way of thinking that's close to the way God thinks. You see yourself as sick or unhappy. That means you're seeing yourself as in need. If I see you as in need, then I'm also helping to remove you from the kingdom, which is happiness. And so therefore, I don't want to see you that way. And therefore, why? Because if I see you as absent from the health and the kingdom and the love, it says, then I'm going to also make that health and happiness and love obscure to both of us.
Right.
So if I see you as in need, then I can also see myself as in need.
That was what I was going to say. Yeah.
Right.
Reflection.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. What you'll find out as you study the Course, especially if you're a person that's actually studying the Course, is that it anticipates, in most cases, it anticipates the things that you're not going to understand and you're going to have questions about. And if the person would just continue to read forward, they would get the answer to the thing that you're going to be tempted to stop and try to figure out or go back over. It's almost like the Course knows what you're going to think before you think it. And so if you keep going forward, you will get the answer to what usually what pops up in your mind. And also remember this, if you're studying the Course, what it does all the way through the book is it makes the same kind of points, but it keeps doing it from different angles, so that if you don't get it one way, it'll say the same thing another way and another way and another way until you finally hear the way that makes you go, oh, I got it. So don't spend a lot of time trying to understand any particular sentence. That's what I'm saying. That's a trick. Because it's going to say that exact same sentence in another way, and then it's going to say that exact same point another way, and then soon you'll get the point it's trying to make. Like, for instance, if you break this down between love and fear, then it says, to heal is the only kind of thinking in this world that resembles the thought of love. Because of the elements they share can easily transfer to it. In other words, when a person sees themselves as sick, they're seeing themselves as not whole, not loved, not loving, not lovable, not one. Those are all definitions of whole, and therefore in need. If you too see that person as what? Not whole, in need, sick. Then you are seeing that person as if they were absent from the love or separated from the love, thus making the love itself hidden to both of you. Sickness and separation are not of love. Sickness and separation are not of God, but the kingdom, which is love, is of God. So what is the Course telling me? Sickness doesn't come from God. Being in need doesn't come from God. Seeing yourself as not whole doesn't come from God. What else did it say? Separation is not of God, which is love. So separation doesn't come from love, and sickness doesn't come from love. But the kingdom is love. The kingdom does come from love. So what is the Course doing? It's always separating, trying to teach us the difference between what is love and what it is that true love does and how true love acts, as opposed to how fear operates, how anger, separation operates. It's trying to teach us the difference between the two. So if I was going to use this in a practical way, even if I was thinking of myself as sick, I would remind myself, God isn't making me sick. God isn't punishing me. Whatever I'm going through is not a punishment from God, because it told me the separation is not of God, which is love, and sickness is not of love. So I could argue about that, or I could say to myself, okay, right now I'm feeling sick, so right now at some level I'm unaware of love. I need to become more aware of love. I need to give myself more love. I need to remind myself of love. I need to be around more people that are supporting me in a loving way. See, I don't spend a lot of time analyzing the Course anymore. It's like, oh, I'm sick because I think I'm in need. So what I need to do right now is do everything in my power to let go of the idea that I'm not whole and that I am in need. One quick way you could do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing it, is just simply telling someone to tell you they love you, or how much they appreciate you, or how they see you. There's nothing wrong with asking for what you want. There's nothing wrong with saying, right now I'm not feeling loved. And so therefore, I need to be around the people right now that I know really appreciate me and that are willing to acknowledge me. There's nothing wrong with that. In my friend Darlene's Course in Miracles meetings that she does, she often tells people that it's okay for them to ask for a standing ovation. And if they say they want a standing ovation, then everybody stands up and gives them a standing ovation right there in the meeting. It's okay to ask for what you want. And so it says here, sickness and separation are not of God, but the kingdom is. If you obscure the kingdom, which sounds like a really abstract term, right? If you obscure the love, you are perceiving what is not of God. So what is that saying to us? When you are seeing something that is not loving, then you know that you have hidden the love. If I'm not seeing love in my life, I am hiding it from myself some kind of way. If I hide the kingdom, if I hide the love, I see fear. If I hide the fear or don't focus on the fear or dissipate the fear or don't give the fear any power, then I see love. So that's the two choices. Either I'm going to see love or I'm going to see fear. So what did he just tell me? He said, well, Earl, if you see another person as in need, if you see another person as being sick, and you join in with that, that's going to also seem to be true for you also. So you're both hiding the truth of your love and your oneness and your health from each other. If you do that, then you're going to perceive that. So the number one thing to ask for is to heal. I want a healed perception. I want a corrected perception. How can I tell when I have a correct perception? I will not see myself as not whole. I will not see myself as in need. So the Course says early in the book, there are no private thoughts. And when I first heard that, that was alarming. Because, most of us tend to have thoughts that we prefer other people not know about. Okay, so and the Course says by definition it's a meaningless thought. So you're really feeling guilty about nothing. Because the fact that you can't share it means it's got to be some kind of illusion, because nobody would have a problem sharing a loving thought. So the mere fact that you think you have to hide it means it's not a real thought. It's just an ego thought. And an ego thought is just a thought that's not really a thought of true love. It's not nothing to punish yourself about. It just doesn't have any real power. So the Course in Miracles is basically telling me that my job is not to see you the way you see you if you're seeing yourself as in need and not whole. That I'm not going to join you in that because it makes it true for me too. So I don't want the love hidden from me, so I'm going to see it for you even when you don't see it. And that's the purpose of a holy relationship. Like many times people ask me, what's a holy relationship? Because the Course talks a lot about holy relationships. It's a relationship where you're not acting the damn fool with each other. That's what it is. It was a relationship that y'all acting like you got some sense and you being peaceful and loving and sane. It's not, again, stop complicating it, Course in Miracles students. It's okay. It ain't complicated. You don't have to figure that out. You know, if I'm not seeing you as in need and not whole, and I'm not projecting on you, blaming you, and attacking you, then I'm having thoughts that are like the thoughts of God. And if I don't see you as lacking, I won't see me as lacking. And I can tell when I am hiding love. How can you tell when you're hiding love? Because you don't see it. It's like, what? Yeah, if you're not seeing love in your life, peace in your life, I was just telling CJ the other day, I'm in a state of awe right now, and the Course talks about awe is appropriate for God, but not appropriate for each other, and that sometimes you're going to confuse awe with fear. You're going to say you're feeling fear, but what you are, you're just in awe of the truth. You know, I'm watching everything that this book promised, this teaching promised. I'm seeing it happening in my personal life at a level that I thought it was impossible. You know, like you read a lot of stuff in the Course and you go, oh yeah, right. You know, even if you say you believe it's still a power, you go, oh, that's just too much. That couldn't happen. This relationship right here, this situation could never heal. You know, you pretty much written it off. You know what can happen. Mm-hmm. And then you start to practice the Course as opposed to philosophizing about it and analyzing it, which I realized I was doing. And all of a sudden you get what it promises. A lot of people think about practicing the Course or any truth book, and they think talking about it and philosophizing and debating about it is the same as them applying it, and then they'll miss the obvious, which will be, how are you perceiving your life? That's how you know whether or not, if you still see your life as a disaster, then that's a part of you seeing you as not whole. So therefore, I need to give myself continue to give myself another way to look at it. And what's the new way of looking at it? The more I heal and the more I don't see you as lacking, the more I will also know that I'm not lacking, right? So any comments or questions or sharing about what we've just covered in that first paragraph?
It was really powerful for me to have you use the substitution words in there, and especially with the use of love to replace kingdom, because it's so often hard to visualize that kingdom, right? The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, whatever, you know, is so broad that it almost doesn't feel like a treasure, because it's so big.
It's so big.
Yeah, and so at least to use that love is the kingdom, right? That realm in which love always exists and you're in that unconditional flow. That gives me a context. And so then when I take that context and I say, okay, then I'm not feeling that flow of love, I'm not feeling that, then I'm the barrier. And I love that that's really the context of that, is that the only barrier between me and love is me.
That's right. And I love that the sentence that really leaped out for me is that if I see them the way they see them, as if they're absent from the kingdom, it makes it hidden to both of us. See, if I really knew everything I said to you was going to have an equal effect on me, if we just knew that one thing as a culture, it would change everything about the way we relate to each other. If you really knew that what you were saying to somebody else is what you're asking for to come to you, people would think twice
That's right.
about 90% of the things that they share. But the law doesn't care if you don't know it. That's the thing about it. What I know about gravity or not doesn't matter. So what's true is true whether you believe it or not. That's comforting to me. See, it's comforting to me to know that that which created me loves me unconditionally and nothing can change that. It's more comforting to me than to just focus on the idea that I got to believe I love myself before I'll ever really reap any rewards of loving myself. Then it makes me feel like, again, it's all on me. You know, if I don't love me, I'm not going to experience. If I don't love me, I'm not going to experience any love. It's not as confident as knowing I'm going to be loved unconditionally, eternally, no matter what I think about myself. See, that's more comforting. Now, if I don't allow myself to begin to believe that, then I could be surrounded by love and not see it. But that doesn't mean it's not there. You might not see me and you're getting ready to walk off a cliff. You might not see me. That still don't stop me from grabbing you before you go over. So just because you don't know something doesn't mean the universe and God cannot help you, heal you, bless you in every kind of way. It's not up to you to think correctly every second or your whole life is going to go to hell. That's just another form of fear. Because then you're beating yourself up about not being positive all the time. Then every time you have a negative thought, you be freaking out, you know. And so that's a trick too. What the Course is trying to do is get us to realize there is a reality of love. There is a kingdom of love beyond what we believe. And we just want to get rid of the blocks to seeing it, recognizing it, and knowing it. But it doesn't mean we're not going to reap the benefits of it unless we have 100% faith. Right. And 100% we're looking at everything in a loving way. We're all doomed if that was the case. Yeah, we can just hang it up. You know, if you got to be perfect before you can experience the love, what's the point? You are perfect. You don't know you're perfect. We need to get rid of everything that makes you think you aren't. Right. In most cases, it's the people you hang out with. And that sounds cold, but it's the truth. We spend too much time with people who we don't elevate each other. Woo! So I'm not concerned with the speed. I'm concerned with retention. Because all it would take is one sentence of the Course that you worked 100% of the time and to change everything in your life. Just one sentence. You and then you.
Just a comment. In reading, sickness and healing a few times in this course, because as you said, things repeat themselves in different versions.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of it as I've got a temperature, I've got the flu, and today what's come to mind is that it is I've got anxiety, I've got worry, I'm not sleeping, depression, addiction. It's not necessarily I've got the flu. It's any state where I'm not in comfort, peace, and love.
Boom.
And that broadens this section for me because it's like, wait a minute, why am I not sleeping? Because I'm in fear, because I'm focusing on an illusion, therefore I can't see truth, therefore I'm awake.
Boom. Don't forget to drop the mic. That's the truth.
Right. It's not.
That's the truth.
Temperature.
That's the truth.
It's all this other
symptoms. And that means you're getting rid of the sickness at the source. That you took it back to your thinking. So now you're pulling it up at the root as opposed to cutting the grass and then it grows some more. And that's what most people do. They just cut the grass. They don't get the roots.
I didn't cut my grass.
That's right. You don't even cut your grass, Patrick.
I didn't cut my hair.
You didn't even cut your hair, but it's so pretty. Yes. So what do you use? Your hair looks very much whole. It doesn't look like it's in need. Oh, okay. You're doing gender. You're doing gender. You're doing a switch. You just got bored and just thought you'd change over. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you. Well, you're not your body. None of us are. None of us are our genders. Really, we just fools. Okay. Somebody else. Yeah, you had your hand up.
Kind of on that same vein, it's amazing how many times I can read something that's saying the same thing and not recognize it. Like, I make a point of reading in the book at least for a short while every day. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but I make a point of every day. And it took me the better part of a year to realize that it was telling me the same thing so many different ways until I finally was ready to understand and listen to it. I must have read for 150, 200 days straight before it came to me that, oh, it's saying the same thing here.
And be aware of the ego using that as an excuse not to read it.
Well, that made me
Okay,
want to read more.
okay, good. Because a lot of people, that's just their ego will get them to say, oh, it's just saying the same thing. Say, it is, but it isn't. You know, that's the paradox of the Course. It is, but it isn't. When it talks about a chapter on relationships, it really is talking about relationships. And when it talks about anger and guilt, it's really talking. So you need to, what I like to, the fun for me is showing people how what they're trying to figure out is right there on the page in front of them. That's my fun. It's like the thing that people are trying to figure out, like, what does it mean? It's like, well, just look at the page. Look, before you go into your wisdom, like, for instance, the next paragraph. It says, to heal then is to correct perception of your brother and yourself. So how do you, then do it this way. Then how do you heal? Well, I need to have the correct perception of you and the correct perception of me. That's how you heal. How do you do that? He says, well, you share the Holy Spirit with them. You share the love with them. You share the loving right mind with them. You share the truth with them. See, all those are synonyms in the Course. So how do I correct perception? How do I heal? I share the love with you. I share the truth with you. That's how we heal. We would all be healed if we shared the truth with each other, if we shared love with each other, if we shared the Holy Spirit with each other. What does that mean? It means I'm seeing you as having the exact same thing that I have. So we think of sharing as, I'm going to hand you my glasses. No, sharing is seeing you as having the Holy Spirit in you, just like I got the Holy Spirit in me. Love is in me, love is in you. Power is in me, power is in you. I make my reality, you make yours. In other words, the mistake I used to make is I would study this stuff about I'm responsible and I'm creating my reality and it's coming from my consciousness. But then I would treat everybody else like that wasn't true for them too. And when you do that, you take on a lot of needless guilt for yourself. Because all of a sudden you feel like it's up to you to, that you're causing what's happening to somebody else when it says you're creating your reality. You know, you're creating your perception of reality. Right? So what I'm saying is there's nobody that we know that is not also experiencing the result of their thinking. Everybody we know, whether they know it or not, they're attracting people to them based on their own vibration and their own consciousness. The law of attraction works the laws work whether you believe them or not. That's what makes them laws. They're not dependent on your belief for it to be true. I'm glad to hear that because when I first got into metaphysics, my ego took over. And it made me think my beliefs was making reality. And my beliefs were just making my interpretation of it. It was making my perception of it. Now, what I am creates reality. Our God self, our divine self does create reality, but not the part of us that has a social security number. That part of us doesn't even know what's going to happen an hour from now. So when it says you are God, it's not talking about your ego. Your self-concept is not God. Your idea of who you are is not God. You know, the Earl Purdy that Earl Purdy thinks he is not God. That's just an idea that changes depending on what time of day I talk to you. Right? That's what all of us are. You know, so the Course says to say that who you think you are is you is the same as saying there's nothing stable about you to know. You know, because the you think you are is you happy one minute, sad the next minute, optimistic the next minute, pessimistic the next minute, complaining the next minute. But he says that's not you. That isn't you. He says that's nothing but a constantly changing interpretation of who you are. And you call it moods. A mood is nothing but I changed my interpretation of things. Now I feel this way. And then 5 minutes later, I changed my interpretation. Now I feel good. And now I changed my interpretation. See, so he said, that's not God. That's not you. And so he says to heal you then would be to have the correct perception of you. So I'm going to share love with you. I'm going to share truth with you. I'm going to say love is in you. And love is in me. Take the Course sentence by sentence. Then it says, this places you both within the kingdom, which is the love. So this is the way I do it. Okay, this places you both within the kingdom. What this? What is this? what? Correcting your perception by sharing the Holy Spirit with somebody. He says, that puts you both in the love. That puts you both in the healing. I love how the Course is getting me to do this by constantly reminding me how much it benefits me. See, the Course knows we're so selfish that we won't do anything that we don't see how it's directly benefiting us. So it's using the law of self-preservation to our advantage. It's just using it in another way, because that's the strongest law there is. So it's brilliant. It says, well, if you're really concerned about taking care of yourself, then you're not going to see anybody else as absent from the kingdom and in need. Oh, if you really want to have a life that really works, then you're going to want to have the correct perception of yourself and your brother by sharing the Holy Spirit. In other words, because that's going to bring the good to both of you. Both of us? Oh, now I'm interested. Because it's going to save my life. So instead of me beating myself up because my mind works that way, I'm glad to see that beginning to automatically take place. I was tempted to want to put a guilt trip on someone recently. And, oh yeah, that was my favorite way of manipulating everybody all my life, in the way that I was manipulated before I got into the Course, didn't you? Yeah, you get angry and you threaten them, and then they say, oh, I'm sorry, and then they'll act out. But then, the once you get on a true spiritual path, I don't know how to break this to you, but conscious beings aren't having none of that. And you're going to be so mad. So I think it's beautiful that we don't attract people who are that different from the way we are. Because a fear-based person would just be infuriated by a love-based person, because none of their guilt trips would work. You're used to getting angry and watching people do what you want them to do because you got so mad at them, and then you pull that on a person who loves themselves, and they just simply do what they want to do. They might do what you're suggesting, they might not. But I tell you what, me personally, I'm less inclined to do what a person wants me to do when they're trying to make me feel guilty and when they're angry and attacking me. Personally, it has just the opposite effect, because I'm not going to teach you that mistreating me gets you what you want. So the more you attack me, the less I'm going to respond. I'm not going to enable your ego. But I used to have people who enabled my ego out of what they thought and I thought was their love for me. Right? So I went off. You please, I'm sorry. Give me another chance. Then I go, oh, you really must love me, but I'm a tyrant. I was a tyrant. That's why I got it. That's one of the reasons I got in the Course in Miracles. When I got into it, was anger management. I was not the person you were looking at. You wouldn't recognize the me that started this off. So the only thing that changed was my perception of myself. That's the only thing that ever changes. It's just your perception of things, And so my point in saying that is that you're going to get to the point where then I didn't want to make that person. I thought about that and I went, wait a minute, hold it. If I try to make them feel guilty, that's going to create more guilt, and it's going to create more lack in my life. That's going to bring drama to me. The Course says guilt is the sole cause of pain in any form. It's coming from unconscious guilt. So when I thought about what it would do for me, I didn't see any value in trying to make the person feel guilty anymore. When it really wasn't. I should have just felt that way anyway because I was so spiritual. But I really didn't do it because I saw what it would do to me.
Yeah.
And the other person benefited no, it didn't matter why I did the right thing. If I did the right thing, they benefited. Like if people don't like you, but they act like it, they're trying to pretend they do. They still gonna fix you dinner, right? Because they trying to pretend they like you. And I go, I don't care if you don't like me. Damn, there's some good food, but don't like me, but keep on feeding me that meal because you're trying to act like you do. What else? Pretend you love me over here too. So I don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out people's motivations anymore. I could care less with trying to figure out why you walked up to me to ask me for my phone number. It's what's important is for me to know why I'd want to give it to you. Yes. That's what I should be asking. What is your purpose, Purdy, if you do give the phone number? You know, sometimes I do whole relationships doing a dance on the dance floor. And y'all ever did a whole relationship doing a dance? The whole thing, just took it all the way from beginning to end, you know. And and I end up going, you know what? I need to just dance and don't ask for a phone number. And I would do that. Even if I could tell the person was even open to it, I go, well, I listened to them. We've had a conversation, right? I know they don't think the way I think. They don't particularly have the same purpose, right? So is it possible that what we were supposed to do was just dance, do a Lady Gaga on the thing, just dance, you know what I'm saying? That was all that was supposed to be. Every encounter isn't meant to be a lifelong special relationship, love that never ends. It could have just been, wow, thank you for that dance. Yeah. And anything else was just something my ego wanted to get. You know, but when I used to just want to get the body, I forgot there was a mind that came along with it. It took me a while to kind of put those two things together. You know what I'm saying? There's a man there, and the man was more scary than anything about the body. You know, it's like when I would hear if my boyfriend even looked at another woman, I'd just cut it off. And I'm listening, you know, okay, don't think this will be another date. I'm good as nipped. Because I am not going to be what you are looking for in a relationship, because I believe in open relationships. So I know you're going to be like, I'll be dead in about 3 weeks, you know what I'm saying? They just find Earl. We saw Earl over there on Colfax, whatever. He messed with that crazy woman. He didn't pay attention.
And he got snipped.
The way you said that, Patrick. God, I'm a moon in Pisces. I feel things deeply. Yes, that hurt. That really hurt. Okay. So, yeah.
One thing I've realized is coming from a love situation, I've decided, and I honestly bless my heart, that I have to be the change that I want to see. In other words, the change in love.
Absolutely.
I can't expect anybody else to change. I've got to be the change that I want to see.
Exactly.
And that's what will attract other people that have the same love in their heart that
That's
the
right.
change that I am. Does that make sense?
That's my. The Course says, be what you want to have.
Yeah.
And another line he says is that what you want to be is what you think you are. So basically, we're being told you wouldn't want to be more loving if you didn't think you were more loving. That everything you aspire to be, you wouldn't aspire to be it if you didn't think it was already in you to be that. So whatever you tell me you want to be, I know you already think you are it. You tell me you want to be more peaceful and more loving, I know you are a person that has that really is. So you wouldn't even set that goal for yourself, you know. And so so giving is asking. So all you have to do is watch what people give, and you'll know what they're asking for. You don't pay attention to words. You pay attention to actions as you begin to wake up as a spiritual being, because the ego can read too. And so the ego is real good at quoting books like this and saying what it says. Like when it says, like an ego look you dead in the face and say, I love everybody, and then step over the person in the gutter. You know, while they're saying I love everybody, step right over the person that could need to be lifted out the gutter. But I love everybody. So when I hear people say that, it's almost hilarious to me with how much I know that's probably not true. That they probably don't look out for other people as much as they look out for themselves. Because that was what a person who was really enlightened would kind of, but they wouldn't be doing it in the way you think of necessarily. Doesn't mean you necessarily see them walking down the street handing out canned goods. Because Spirit is going to tell you your special way of serving. And your special way of serving might be just sitting up in the room like you're doing right now, focusing on the truth together. Or it might be you, handing out care packages. But you're going to let Spirit determine how you fulfill your function. And you don't let how anybody else is fulfilling theirs have any effect on what you do. And you don't compare your path to anybody else's. Mm-hmm.
You had a line, unconscious guilt. Can
Yeah.
you repeat that? Unconscious
Yeah.
guilt?
The Course is basically saying that we have a lot of unconscious guilt, like a iceberg. How you just see a little part of it on the top, and then under the water, there's a lot more. And the court says that we feel guilty. One of the definitions, reason it says we feel guilty is because, I'm going to say it and paraphrase it, because we know we lying all the time. And when you lie, you feel guilty. What is the lie? The lie is you're alone. The lie is you're not connected with God. The lie is you're not totally innocent. So he says every time so it actually creates a separation, which is unconscious guilt, because we know we're not telling the truth. That's where it originally started with me telling myself I'm alone. But then we learned a lot of insane things that our ego came up with to tell us we needed to do or not do to be absolved, forgiven. And that's the whole other level of, you don't wear a miniskirt to a funeral, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, God's watching, you know what I'm saying. But and people feel guilty about that. Or you don't have sex before you get married, and then now that's a sin. And the court says the whole idea of sin is just to keep the ego going, the sense of separation from God going, the fear of God, because then you become afraid of the condemnation of your Creator. So all of a sudden now you're afraid to make connection with your source because you think you disobeyed your source in some kind of way, And so he said, and the court says when we feel guilty, we think we need to be punished because it's through punishment that you get absolved from your guilt. So the minute a person says, I feel guilty, they're saying to the universe, and they don't know it, but they're saying to the universe, punish me, punish me, punish me, so that I can be absolved of my guilt. And then they're shocked when they get sick, or their car breaks down, or they lose their job. People don't know that all they're doing is trying to absolve themselves of guilt through the drama that they're constantly creating for themselves. And they don't know that. Why do you always keep some kind of drama or some kind of pain going? Because unconsciously you're trying to punish yourself. You're unconsciously trying to absolve yourself of all your guilt because you think if you suffer enough, you'll be deserving of happiness again. See, once I suffer enough, then it's okay for me to have it okay again.
Well, and in some of the content we were reading even last night was that we also believe that being in drama and trauma is our path to growth.
Right.
And so if I feel like I need to continue to grow, I will not allow myself to stay in peace because it's the drama that I believe brings the growth.
Right. We think that there's a line in the Course where he says we believe life is conflict. So if we don't have conflict, we think we're going to die unconsciously. Because we even say rest in peace on tombstones. So he says we associate peace with death and life with conflict. So one of the challenges you have as you wake up spiritually and things become more peaceful is you'll find your own death urge will come up. You really wonder if you're going to die. I've been wondering that lately, because then the voice said, yes, you are. The voice said, yes, you're going to, yep, you're right, you are. Your body is you're going to drop it. You're going to, so you're right. You're right.
I was just going to say, you bringing up the idea of conflict, I know that a couple weeks ago, we were reading that conflict is just a divided decision, not making a choice.
Mm-hmm,
and so it's kind of, what I appreciate about what was shared is, okay, I made this decision that I want to be the change. And so there's no conflict in that if that's what I decide.
That's
and
right.
So I think so often it's me, just wanting to continue choosing. And it's to keep choosing for peace. And, when this section was talking about perceiving other people correctly, even the amount of peace I can give myself in a situation where I'm seeing someone I know I'm not seeing correctly, and then to say, oh wow, that's a piece of myself I really need to forgive. What piece of myself do I really need to forgive in the way I'm seeing that person? Because I'm seeing something I don't like in that person, which means I'm seeing something in me I don't like. And then also another interpretation of everything about kind of giving as you want to receive is the situation is only lacking whatever I'm not giving.
That's right.
And so I was like, what am I not giving here? And even though I was still unwilling to give it, I knew I was unwilling to give it, and I knew it was coming from me. And that still gave me a better interpretation. And it wasn't anyone to blame. It was, okay, it's okay for you to choose not to give it. You're innocent in that, but just know that's the only reason you're experiencing a lack of that right now.
Boom. Drop the mic again. Y'all, I've been dropping the mic on all y'all today. That's so true. Everybody got what everybody's saying. Yeah, I can choose not to forgive you, but that's still my choice. So I'm still being empowered, and it has nothing to do with you at that point. It's just me not choosing to let me feel better. because I'm the one that's feeling the grievance. See, that's the thing. I'm the one that's feeling the pain. And so if I still won't let go of it, even though I'm the one feeling the pain, then I go, oh, you really just want to feel this pain. Then I just go ahead and,
When it did lessen, like on its own. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing, is it's like, I couldn't keep justifiably, like, using anyone else to give it fuel. And I was willing to stop fueling it because the awareness brought up, so even though I wasn't willing to give what I felt like I was lacking, I didn't feel like I was lacking as much anymore.
That's right.
Because I knew what was lacking and that it was me and that I could change that at any time.
Bingo. Yes. Yeah. Did you have to? Okay. Remember?
Yeah, that's one thing I love about the Course is that it is so empowering. The way that it talks about, like, even you obscure the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven isn't gone. It's just that I'm not seeing it. It's there anytime I want.
Yeah, I love this.
Change my perception of it.
And if you change the word perception to the word interpretation, to me, it makes it sound even easier. If I have to change my perception of my mama, oh my God. But if I have to change my interpretation of my mama, that don't sound so hard. I just need another way to look at it. Yeah. And if it's true, I'm going to keep saying this. If it's true whether you believe it or not. So even if I don't believe you deserve love, it's true you deserve love. So I'm still siding with an idea that's true, even if I don't believe you deserve love. And I go, you deserve love, and I don't mean it. Who cares? I'm still siding with the idea. That's going to benefit me just through having a willingness to say it. And it's the truth. You do deserve love. Jesus is so funny in the Course. It says, God would be totally unfair if God let anything about your healing be dependent on people who don't even recognize you and love you. Think about that. It's like God would be unloving if me being helped depended on all of y'all believing I deserved it. That's what it's saying. That love is so powerful that it is too, like God is too fair. That would be unfair to make you being helped be dependent on these selfish son of a guns just like you. So thank God that your being helped is not dependent on your brothers and sisters believing that you deserve to be loved. You know what I'm saying? If my happiness depended on the Ku Klux Klan saying I deserved it, I'm up the creek, right? But I deserve it no matter what anybody else think about me. And that's what I love. So let's go through this a little bit further. It says, to heal is to correct perception in your brother and yourself by sharing the Holy Spirit with him. This places, what places? Sharing the Holy Spirit with the person places you both within the love and restores its wholeness in your mind. This reflects creation. What reflects creation? Because it unifies by increasing and integrates by extending. So if you're going to create something, you increase it and extend it. To create is to increase and extend. Then it says what you project or extend is real for you. So what's real for you? Whatever you are projecting out, whatever you are. What's the difference between a projection and an extension? With a projection, I'm putting it out there, but I don't see it as being connected to me in any way. An extension is I'm putting it out there and I'm seeing it as being connected to me. But the truth is it's all connected to me. Even the projection is still coming from me. I'm just denying it. But so whatever is real, now check this out. Whatever is real for you is what you have projected. So when people are talking about something they're going through in a relationship with me, I always go, okay, there's your version, their version, and what really happened. That's all, what you always hear. And when anybody tells you anything about what's going on in their relationship, it's their version, the other person's version, and what really occurred. So the truth is, this is an immutable law of the mind. What is an immutable law of the mind? That whatever you project is real for you. Whatever you extend is real for you. He says this is an immutable law of the mind in this world as well as in the kingdom. And the kingdom is reality. The kingdom is love. The kingdom is joy. So it's true that whatever you project and extend is going to be real to you in fear. And whatever you project and extend is going to be real to you in love. So I'm going to project love. Love is going to seem real to me. I'm going to extend love. It's going to seem real to me. If I project fear, it's going to seem real to me. If I extend, that's an immutable law, whether you're in fear or love. However, the content is different in this world because the thoughts it governs are very different from the thoughts in the kingdom. What does that mean? In the world, we extend separation and fear. In the reality, we extend in love.
So that
In
that's talking
fear.
about the material world.
It's talking about this world, the material world. It's talking about any world that we perceive as separate from love.
Right.
Okay, so in this world, for instance, everybody in this world, they're seeing what they project or they extend. What's the difference is it ain't love. So that's what he's saying. The content's not the same in this world. Yeah, we project, and I projected this political party is not cool. I project this other race is not. So I'm using the law of projection and extension. Just the content sucks. I'm projecting I can never be successful. I'm projecting that. That's the content that sucks. I nobody loves me. Then I don't see anybody that loves me because the people that do, I won't notice. So then I said, that's still me using the law of projection and extension, and that's what it's saying here. However, the content is different in this world because the thoughts it governs are very different from the thoughts in the world. The thoughts the thoughts that we use in the world are very different from the thoughts that you would use in love.
Right.
He says laws, though, and another word for laws in the course is rules. Laws, I like rules. Rules must be adapted to circumstances if they are to maintain order. Now check this sentence out. The outstanding characteristic of the laws of mind, as the laws of mind operate in this world, is that by obeying the laws of the mind, the way the laws of the mind operate in this world, and I assure you that you must obey them. What? The laws of the mind. You must obey the laws of the mind. When you use the laws of the mind in this world, you can arrive at what appears to be diametrically opposed results. In other words, when you use the law of extension and projection in this world, it can look like you are getting love and fear, lack and abundance, sickness and health, peace and conflict. He said it looked like you can get opposite results, doesn't it? Doesn't look like 1 minute in the relationship you're experiencing joy and happiness, and then the next minute in the relationship you may be experiencing pain or conflict, or 1 minute you think you're experiencing abundance, and the next minute you think you're full of lack. He says you're still using the laws of the mind, but in this world you can get opposite results. He says because the laws have been adapted to the circumstances of this world. So what are the circumstances of this world in which diametrically opposed outcomes seem possible? So in this world, when you use the laws of the mind, it looks like you can get opposite to what you think you want. Have any of you all ever experienced that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He says, and then it goes, because the ego is ready to analyze that. Why is it that we get opposite results when we use the laws of the mind, which is you project and you extend in this world? Why do we get opposite results? Right there at the end of the sentence. Because you can respond to two conflicting voices. What do you mean? I'm listening to the voice in me that's saying you are wonderful, you are awesome, you're an eternal child of God, you are innocent, you are guilty, you are sinful, you're bad, you are mortal, you're immortal, you die one day. Oh, you live forever, there's only peace. See, I'm listening to two voices that are opposite. He says, so you get two opposite results. And he says, and that's where the world of duality comes from. They call this the world of duality because it looks like we can experience opposites. And of course, just answered that in, to me, the most simple fashion I've ever heard the explanation of duality. You all are just listening to two opposite things. It's no more complicated than that. You believe that you can be hurt, so you experience pain. You believe that you're safe, so you have instance of safety. You believe that you are lonely, so it looks like you have nothing to do on Saturday night. Then you believe that you are not alone. Then someone calls you up and said, let's go to a movie. That's what he said. You're listening to two voices, so you're going to always seem to be in a world where you can be up and down, hot and cold, high and low, because you respond to two different voices.
So block out the one you don't want to hear.
Another way to say that is, I'm going to side with the one.
The one with love.
The one that's love. Yeah, I'm not gonna create a battle with the other side. I'm just no longer going to invest in it, and I'm going to forgive myself when I do. That's because readiness is not mastery. So I'm still going to have some negative thoughts, what I would call negative thoughts about myself. And when those come up, I've got to recognize that I'm saying I'm in need and not whole. It could be just that simple. Then people say, well, you say you're in need and not whole, and then what? No, if you were conscious enough to say you're in need and not whole when you're upset, you'd already be on another level of consciousness. Because usually when you're angry and upset, what you're looking for is who you're going to blame. Not thinking about you're going to be saying, oh, I'm sick today. I'm in need. I don't see myself as whole. Then I go take the medicine. And the medicine just is a symbolic gesture showing that I'm willing to be healed. So he says, if you can't heal yourself, he said, get some medicine. He says in the book, rely temporarily on external healing methods if you can't heal yourself. So don't feel guilty because you actually went and got an Excedrin when you had a headache. It's better than you sitting up with a headache all day long, even more focusing on the idea that you're a limited body that's in need, than to go ahead and take this Excedrin and the pain is gone and you're not thinking about it no more. Because I've seen many of my New Age friends go, well, I can't do that. I'm going to heal myself naturally. Well, if you could, you would already be healed. So it's obvious you don't do it. You're still miserable. So you're really not that good a position for yourself. So why don't you just go ahead and get your freaking Excedrin until we can go and go to the movie? What are you trying to prove? You're not going to be condemned either way it goes. God isn't going to stop loving you. It's you not loving you when you think you're not doing it perfect. God isn't caught up in that.
I was just gonna say that sometimes like pain, whether it's emotional, physical, or whatever, is, can be a really healing thing because it allows me to know what part of my life I've not invited God into yet.
Right.
And I don't have to do this all by myself.
That's right.
It is about sharing the Holy Spirit. It's not just me trying to do it all alone anymore. Instead, I get to be like, okay, this is an area of my life that I haven't invited my higher power into, that I haven't invited love into, that I haven't invited truth into. And then, I can do the symbolic gesture or whatever, but it's like it almost comes up saying, hey, I can be healed. So instead of judging it of, why is this happening? Something's wrong with me, I'm not doing something right. Instead, it's like, oh, wow, I'm glad that I get the awareness that there's something I need to work on in this area.
Which would be called the correct perception of yourself and your brother, which loops right back around to the beginning of the paragraph. Right. That to heal is to have, and what you just named and explained were correct perceptions. So to heal is to look at it that way, that I'm not the victim of the situation that I'm going through. I can choose to forgive when I get ready to forgive. What I see in you, I'm going to experience is affecting both of us. If I keep on believing two opposite things in an opposite world, I'm going to keep on experiencing them. If I don't want to experience anything other than joy, then I need to be using my thoughts to focus in on thoughts of joy and see every other thought as a call for joy. So either I'm happy or I'm calling for it. And it's like that's what I love. I got two ways I deal with you all. I either love you or want to. And some days I'm much more in the want column than I am in the love column. Right? Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, because wanting to love you is as powerful in its benefits as loving you. Is what many people don't realize. Just having the goal to love you will bring love to me, even if I'm not able to pull it off all the time. The mere fact that I want to creates the circumstances that allow me to experience that. So nothing's more important than the goal. That either I'm loving you or I really, really want to. Oh, you want to? Well, the universe goes, well, let me show you how that can happen. So if you want to talk about somebody like a dog, just let me tell you what to do so you won't make bad karma. You a big call for God, and it's taking the form of whatever it is I think I see you doing. If I think a person is attacking somebody, I say that person's got a big call for love and it's taking the form of road rage. I got a big call for God and it took the form of me being really upset about that person cutting me off in traffic. See, I'm telling the truth I'm not repressing my feelings, but I'm not locking myself in ignorance about what's going on. It's a call for God. It's my call for God. It's my call for love. And so the truth is simple. The Course says, simplicity is very difficult for twisted minds. But simplicity is very difficult for twisted minds. Don't y'all see the humor in that? Simplicity is very difficult for twisted minds. You know, the more that my mind is distorted and is not focused on the truth, the harder it's going to be to hear what this is saying. As a matter of fact, the Course in Miracles says it is unavailable for people who are completely insane. That this book can only be used by people who are partially insane. So you've been complimented. You all are not totally crazy. Isn't that great? We're being told we're not totally crazy anymore. But that's what it's saying, because it says the Course requires the use of some form of reason. And he says when you're insane and totally asleep and think you're completely separate from God and you're a body, you don't have access to reason. Nobody can, you're unreasonable. No one can reason with an asleep person. So actually the Course in Miracles is beyond the comprehension of some people, but the truth will come in another way. So it's not for everybody. And that's good to know. Takes a lot of pressure off.
I find this really powerful. I was raised in a very traditional background, and laws must be adapted to circumstances if they're to maintain order. And I look over the years of my life at how I finally was able to make a distinction between truth or false belief. Anything that's not truth is a false belief, whether it's a positive or a quote negative belief. It's a false belief. It's not truth. And we can even see that playing out in many faith systems that have changed their criteria for what's sin.
Yeah.
Right? They changed the rules because they were losing participants, they were losing community, and so they changed the rules. And so I was raised with the scripture that says, beware of false beliefs lest you be led astray. And so the whole time you were reading this, that passage just kept coming to me, and that we can actually begin to understand what a false belief truly is. A false belief isn't something that takes me away from my religious belief and training. A false belief is something that takes me away from the knowing of my magnificence and love.
That's it. Boom. That's exactly right. A false belief is anything that takes me away from the reality of love.
Right.
And that's what I am. And it's, again, the more you get it, the simpler it becomes. The quicker you see the choices that are before you all day. And then you have to just be willing to admit some of the choices. You know they're dumb, but you just want to do it and you can't stop yourself. And then some of them you're going to go, this is a cool choice. But you won't be able to say, I didn't know better. You know if you are in a connection with someone that you know thinks completely different from you. You know that. And if you choose to continue to be in that experience and go through the results of that, then you just take responsibility. Just go, you know what? I want to have this experience. Even though I know it looks like we're not compatible or we on two different, for whatever reason, all I have to do is not be the victim in the situation and admit that this is an experience that I want to give myself, because you can't pretend anymore that you don't know the difference between love and fear. That you don't know that when somebody loves you, they free you, and when they fear you, they don't. That's it. You can come up with as many different kind of excuses and rules you want to, but in the end, you know that person is free to choose, and that whatever they're doing it of their own choice. And so no matter how you use your freedom, that's up to you. But never lose sight of the fact that you are free, and that you're doing whatever you do because you're choosing to do it, and nobody's making you do it. You're choosing to do it, no matter what it is, and that's empowering. Even if I choose to stay in the situation, if I stay in the situation admitting that I'm choosing to stay in the situation, I'm still empowering myself. That's what we want to do.
What I find is interesting is there's people around me that are working for bosses that are bought, and I know they're bought. They know their bosses are bought, and I tell them, I said, I pray for you every day, and I pray for your families, because you all are victims. Until you decide to stand up for the truth, your life's not going to change. I can't change you, only you can change you, but I can send you love, and I can pray for you, and I mean it from the heart, and I know they're mad.
Well, you were telling the truth. That's all you can do.
That's all I know.
It's what you just
Send them
said.
love.
I can pray for you. I can send you love. I can give you to God. I can ask God what it is. In the new annotated version of the Course in Miracles, where they put in some of the material that had been edited out earlier, Jesus says in the Course, you're not meant to help everybody. And the way you can tell when you're trying to help somebody that Spirit isn't directing you to help is that you feel drained. And you feel completely spent when
Maybe
you're trying to
that's why I
do
feel
it.
so tired all the time.
Right, you're trying to help people that you're not supposed to help, the way that you are trying to help them. Because a lot of times we think we can choose who we're going to help, and that we know who's the best person for us to help. And the Course is saying, no, let's keep it simple. If you're doing it where you shouldn't be doing it, you don't feel energized and inspired. You feel like you're making a sacrifice, and you feel drained. That's how you know it's your choice what you're doing. That's not what Spirit is directing you to do. I love that about A Course in Miracles. I love that, because then I can't. Then you go, well, what about? But 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 what about? Yeah, but what about? You heard it. Do you feel drained? Yes. Do you feel frustrated? Yes. Then it's you that's deciding to do this. Now, that doesn't mean that person is not going to be helped. It just means you ain't the one. But if you want to do it, go ahead. But don't think you can stop somebody from getting the help that they need just because you do it or do not do it. That's arrogant in itself. For you to go, I got to be the one to do it. No, that person they're taken care of by God. What they need is going to come to them. You can't stop it. You don't have the power to stop it. So just be clear, what are you doing it for? What is your purpose in doing it? Because a lot of times people try to help people to just increase their own sense of self-esteem.
So that's not
And it doesn't have anything to do with really caring about the person. It just makes them feel better about themselves when they think they're fixing people. That's another way to try to make yourself feel special. It's different from, I'm doing that from Spirit, and I'm doing that from an inspired place, and I'm doing that from a place that feels fulfilled. It's a hardcore. It's almost like we got to make a hardcore decision about what we will and will not accept. And people are used to compromising all the time, and the Course is totally non-compromising. You know, if you're not feeling peace, you are seeing something incorrectly. End of story. No matter how justified you feel, there is no justification for attack. But what about if this so-and-so attacks this country and blah, 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 blah? There is no justification for attack. I'm mad at that. I don't like that. I'm going to throw this book away because I think it's just some situations that you do need to attack. Great. Just because you think there's some situations that you do need to attack doesn't mean that that's true. So do whatever you want to do. It's not going to change the law of the universe. If you want to stop being attacked, doggone it, you're going to have to stop attacking. Period. And then ego goes, ah! Because the ego is a part of us that thinks attack is the answer to every freaking thing, and that anger is the answer to everything. And you're telling me, but somebody's just going to take advantage of me. Now, if you are asking the Holy Spirit's help as you let go of your belief in attack, you are operating under protection. That's not the same as you're doing this with God. You're not doing this by yourself. So if you go, I'm trying to let go of attack so that I won't be attacked, and the part of you thinks that, oh, that makes me vulnerable and somebody could hurt me in the meantime, then you're leaving out your divine protection. You're leaving out God. You're still thinking it's up to you by yourself to do it. It's just another aspect of our atheistic nature. And then you even get to the point that you're willing to take a chance. So you would go, yeah, I'm not going to attack. Maybe I might still be attacked back, but I know it's got to stop, and it's got to stop with me. So even if it looks like I get smacked, I'm not going to attack back. Even if it looks like now people say, well, does that mean that you won't defend yourself? And Spirit says, just ask. If you're in that time, in that place, in a situation like that, ask for help. There is no prescription I can tell you about how you should act and form in every situation. The Course says how you should act in every situation is ask for guidance about how to act, if possible. in every situation. You know, I think I'm being followed right now, Holy Spirit. I'm feeling a lot of fear. I'm walking down the street and I think how should I look at that? What should I do? What do you want me to do? How should I handle this? You know, that's what it's trying to get us to do, to get to the point where we only want to heal. We only want to have the kind of thought that heals us so that we won't even be in those kind of situations in the first place. That your vibration wouldn't even attract what you would consider to be danger to you, because you don't have any attack in you, so there's no attack for you out there.
See, I didn't have any attack. I was just trying to help them. But by seeing it from an outside view.
Okay.
So I was just trying to send them some loving thoughts.
Now, I didn't have a judgment about what you said.
Oh, I know, but I was just trying to have loving thoughts and get them to look at it in a different way.
Yeah. And remember, first and foremost, that whatever you're saying to them, it's just for you. That everything you were saying to them
It's
really
a
was,
reflection back on me.
it was what you needed to do more in whatever area of your life that you feel the fear that they feel in theirs. Because it's no such thing as you being here and not having areas where you also have those same type of thoughts. We wouldn't be here if we didn't all have thoughts of love and thoughts of fear. So the idea that I'm saying something to you that you need to fix in yourself that's not always also in my mind that needs to be healed would be me completely. First of all, I'm forgetting that you're one with me. So if you are truly one with me, you can't have a thought that's in your mind that's not in my mind. That's the whole nature of one, is that it's me. So it's no such thing as, Earl, you love everybody, yet everybody around you hate everybody, but you love everybody. No, if you are me and you got some hate in your mind, then I got some hate in my mind, because your mind is my mind. So that gets you out of that whole thing of you're so special because you love everybody and other people don't. That Charles Manson has the Holy Spirit in him as much as I have it in me. The only difference might be how much we are tapped into it and how much we are remembering it.
How much unconscious guilt.
How much unconscious guilt is going on. But it's never to my advantage to see myself as separate from anybody. That's what this book is trying to. It may make you temporarily feel good to say you think you're better than somebody else, but actually it just creates more of the competition that we already experienced. Did you have your hand up?
I'm just thinking about how I have the freedom to have a correct perception or an incorrect perception. If I choose to have an incorrect perception, which I do sometimes, then I have a choice to change that. And my brother has the same.
That's right.
So if my brother is choosing incorrectly, I can still see him in truth. And he can choose once again or not, whenever, whatever. So
That's right.
It's
But that's what that was
empowering.
But that was the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Like when he was saying,
Yeah.
if I don't join you in the perception, or I see you beyond how you see yourself, but I'm going to honor your free will enough to let you make your choices, even if there are choices that may give you a lesson that's not the most comfortable lesson in the world. You know, I don't know your best interests. So therefore, I can't decide how I'm going to help you. I need to ask.
Know my own best.
I don't even know my own.
So when I choose incorrectly, when he chooses incorrectly, what I know is I'm still innocent. That's the key.
And that's the key. I got to see you beyond my perception of you, or your perception of you. But here's the good news. Even if I don't, big deal.
Yeah.
It's not going to change anything about you. How powerful you are, how loving you are. It's like the arrogance of my ego sometimes amazes me, that I really think that what I think about somebody really matters. You know, to me, it just blows my mind that we really think it matters. Like somehow or another, what somebody else thinks about me is going to somehow change me in some kind of a real significant way. And once I begin to get that more and more, I'm not as afraid of my so-called negative thoughts or any of my feelings. It makes you cool out. You chill out. When you realize that you are loved unconditionally by that which created you and nothing can change that, then you stop giving so much weight to even your so-called negative thoughts. So I got mad today. Okay, so I got upset with that person. Big friggin' deal. That's the way you were supposed to get to the point that you're not repressing. You just go, okay, that's the way I felt. Yeah, today I made myself mad. about how long it took for them to bring my pancakes to the table. Okay. And then you go on. You don't spend the next 5 hours trying to process the pancakes, which is the way we've been programmed to do, just to make a mountain out of every molehill. You got upset with your partner today. Y'all got upset. Y'all misperceived each other for a minute. You both realized it was your egos. You were feeling threatened. Let's move on now. Let's move on now.
If we could make them bring those pancakes quicker, we'd be happier.
And that's right. I have a preference for faster pancakes. That's what I'm going. Yeah, I have a preference for faster pancakes, but I'm not going to give up my peace about it. Okay, so let's acknowledge ourselves for hearing this much today. That was deep. Those online. And I'm going to do a quick little recap before we run out of here in a minute or so. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation, those of you who would like to do that. Online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, please go to my website, Earl Purdy, PURDY.com. As a full-time teacher, I appreciate that so much. I'm available for one-on-one sessions that are fantastic called Clarity Sessions. Go to my website. It explains them in detail. But I would love to work with you on a one-on-one and show you how you can apply this in a very practical way in situations and circumstances you're ready to see a change in. And then on Sundays at 1 o'clock, we do the Course of Miracles here live on Facebook Live at Mountain Time, 1 o'clock. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, The Way of Mastery on my Facebook page, the Earl Purdy page. On Facebook, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And then we do a hardcore Course in Miracles class on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time that is geared toward students of the Course in Miracles who are studying a Course in Miracles. That's Thursdays. So I'm excited because every time I hear this, I remember it. And the Course is really about remembering. It's not about analyzing. It's about remembering what? It's remembering that to heal is the only kind of thinking that resembles the thought of God. So here we go. So what were two of the main things that we heard today? Well, when you're around somebody and they're seeing themselves as sick, and do you know when you're around somebody and they're seeing themselves as upset, they're seeing themselves as in need. And if you see them as if they're in need, you know that you're hiding the truth and you're hiding the healing from both of you. So you don't want to see that person as in need. You don't want to see that person as not whole. You don't want to join with what that person is saying and believing about themselves. And certainly don't walk up to them and say, what did you do to create this? All they want to do at that point is just hit you upside your head. So I would advise you not to be one of those people that when somebody's unhappy, you go, what did you do to create that? You're the one that created that. Nobody appreciates that. In most cases, they hate you. They hate your guts. So what you want to do is say something like, I'm willing to join you in your joy. I'm willing to join you in your happiness. Could I side with you on you having this situation or circumstance healed? That's the way I do it. I know you want to be healed of this. Can I join with you on the idea of healing? I don't go, what did you do to create this? The other thing that we were told today was that if you wanted to heal, you just had to have a correct perception of the other person. And the Course in Miracles says the correct perception of the other person is what? That they have the Holy Spirit in them. That they have love in them. That they have the truth in them. That's how you heal them. Also remember that if you don't want to continue to experience opposites in your world, you have to let go of thinking in opposites. You want to start siding only with love, siding only with your peace, believing that that's the only thing that you deserve. If you give yourself thoughts of anger and thoughts of peace, then you're going to see a world that has what appears to be some peace and what appears to be anger in it. The laws of the mind, they are going to be manifested in this world, and you're only projecting or you're only extending. So ask yourself, what do I want to project? What do I want to extend? Because the only thing that can be missing in my life is what I am not giving. Whatever is missing is what I'm not giving. And whenever I see someone else as if they are in need and not whole, then it hides my wholeness and my peace from me. If you want to be a true healer in the world, what do? To be a true healer, that's to have thinking that's just like God's. And the Course in Miracles teaches that to heal means to undo fear. And every time you undo fear, every time you are a vehicle for peace, you are a healer in this world. And that's what you are, the light, the luscious, juicy light of the world. I appreciate y'all. Let's acknowledge us. That felt good. Thanks for coming out on this wintry day. Hugs are available. Mighty Companions Online, you all are awesome. Thank you for coming in and checking it all out live. Love you.